we introduce ourselves. My name is Teena. I am an assistive software trainer. I work across all sites, and I'm currently in second year PGCE. So I've got one group that I teach, but mostly it's one-to-one students that I see and staff.
My name is Laura, and I'm a learning coach for travel and tourism, hospitality and public services. And I'm also in my second year of PGCE, and I teach English GCSE to catering students. That's all fun and games.
So what we're going to look at today is using handheld devices. Loads of you have brought your own. So a lot of students might have done similar. So they might come with phones to your lesson, they might come with their own laptops, might come with tablets, anything. So it might be that you use them already quite a lot when you're teaching. If so, brilliant. What you could do is you can, at any point in the session, come up to this flip chart on here. If you've got a really good resource that you use, then share it with other people. So we've got pens, you can write down on the flip chart over there anytime you want to. But what we're going to do is we're going to introduce a couple of very short things that you could possibly use when you're teaching. So it might be a study aid, or it might be something more interactive that you can use as a teacher. We've got quite a lot of you to write down on your post-it note what sort of thing you're expecting. I'm going to cheat and not look at that until a bit later when you're doing stuff a bit more independently on your own. But first thing I would like you all to do is to go around and introduce yourselves, because it might be that you know other people in the group, or you might not know you, or you might not know everyone else. So introduce yourself, and then if you want to say how confident you are at using stuff, if you've got something already, then do so. Which way should we start?
Start from the zone and go back that way. I think that what they are doing. You could answer if you want to answer what you're filming.
We're just filming the session.
It's the whole session, but I think it's mostly the demonstration parts in the middle that people will be concentrating on. So I don't know what's going to happen in the editing process later on. It'll be up to studio expert, I think.
Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Chris Hyde. I'm head of learning for technology, design and creative at the Oxford site. So it covers a wide range of areas: furniture, IT, media, gaming, performing arts, visual arts, engineering, dance, and music. So there's quite a few in there, and using handheld devices quite a bit, but just to give some ideas.
Thank you.
I'm Christine. I teach science and A-levels and access, and I'm a bit of a technophobe, so I know I use and I know how to do that, but I want to find new resources.
My name is Alison Kirkett. I'm a specialist teacher of dyslexia and study support at Leeds campus.
My name is Gemma Johnson. I'm a study support mentor at BBL.
Also, James, I'm a study support mentor at BBL officer.
Bruce Philpott, I'm a motor vehicle trainer at Blackburn.
I'm Alex, I'm Sense Bruce, motor vehicle at Blackburn.
Steph, business development coordinator at Blackburn.
Richard Caldwell, construction at Blackburn.
I'm Alex Young, I teach brickwork at Blackburn Leeds. I don't know anything about this man.
Amy Robertson, brickwork at Blackburn Leeds. Well, I don't know anything about films.
Principal of English and Mathematics, Blackburn Leeds, and last to know more about how gaming studies in lessons.
Oh, sorry, Annette Hook, teacher at Blackburn Leeds. I'd like to know a bit more how I can use the resources.
Yeah, Alison Stokes from English, and again, how to make use of the mobile phones other than students on Facebook.
Yeah, that is pretty strong, isn't it?
Next up, Blackburn Leeds teaching.
Diane Hardy. I teach science, mainly biology A-level, and I want to see if I can be persuaded that there is a role, given that a lot of our students go into academic studies at university when they'll be expected to be able to use textbooks, articles, and I'm concerned that they become so good at using these quick fix gadgets that they're losing the art of referencing and using academic journals, textbooks, and so on. So I want to see if I can be persuaded.
Okay.
I'm the learning manager for English and Maths.
My name's Aid, and I teach business and some evening courses here at Oxford, and I usually just tell people to put the phone away, so try to find out more.
I'm Jamie Smith. I teach plumbing and workshop at Blackwood Leeds. I'm interested in getting resources for the workshop onto devices so that our students can refer back to it.
I'm Claire, I teach here at Oxford in Hair and Beauty, and we don't really use much technology ourselves.
Okay, great. All right, it's a good mix. Lots of BBL people here today. If there are many BBL people here today, Alison, a tablet and phone. She's one of the masters, so go on. She'll run away. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a few short demonstrations. Unfortunately, one of our collaborators is gone AWOL. It's not here. So we'll try and work our way through that one, but it might be that Kahoot gets slightly missed off. I'm going to introduce some apps that might help with students who have difficulty with writing, also with referencing. So maybe one for you, Donna, I don't know. And then Laura?
Yeah, I'm going to be just going through this app that I found called Remind.com, and it's a simple way of communicating with students, similar to text, except you don't have to exchange numbers with your students, and it's all sort of kept private. It's like a messaging app, similar to WhatsApp if anybody uses it. But yeah, it's all sort of done through your phone, and you can also access it through a computer if you don't have like a smartphone, or students don't have a smartphone as well.
And then we're going to give you a chance to try some of the different things. So you can pick one of the ones if you want to look at that a bit further, and you'll have time to discuss it and want to have time in groups to kind of pick it on your own. And then at the end, we're going to ask you what you felt about something. If you feel like you might be able to use one of those with your students, how are you going to use it? So that's kind of the rough run through of what we're going to do. So the first thing that we are going to try and have a look at, see if it works. There is a website, I don't know if anyone's heard of it, it's called getkahoot.com. And what you can do with this website is you can create a quiz. You would make a free account, and it takes about 30 seconds to set one up. You log in, you can make a quiz, so you can give yourself questions, a list of 4 answers, and then what the students would do after you've created that, you get a little PIN number for that quiz that you've made that's about 5 digits long. You get the students to get their phones out. What they have to type in is kahoot.it, so we might actually have a try and see if it works. And then you show it on the board, and the students have their own handheld voting device. So as you're going along, it collects the scores of all of the students, so you can check what they're doing, if they've got any gaps in knowledge. And then at the end, it shows you the overall scores, who's got what, and students can also do their own reviews. That's right. So, what we're going to do is we're going to try and show you how you might use it. So, what you'd have to do is go to getkahoot.com, and you'd make your own free account. So what I'm going to do is show you how quick that is. So you select what your role is. So I'm a teacher. I'm going to give myself a username, so I don't know. Bob. Who knows? Oh, it doesn't like that. Yeah, try that one. So you put in your email address, and then you create whatever password you wanted. So.
Where did you get to that point? That's how you get to that point.
What we have got is we've got.
I've lost my screen.
Don't worry about this bit. What we're going to get you to do is the student bit. And the PowerPoint that we've got throughout the session, I've put on my Moodle site so you can access on your own later on to give yourself time. If any of you at any point do get stuck and you want a one-to-one session, then please do approach me at the end and we can try and book some time to do something. So, straight away, all I've done is I've logged in, created my account. I'm now ready to use it. So what we've got here is a little intro quiz, and it will tell you a bit about how Kahoot works. So I am going to click launch. Okay. So if you could go on your phone, get your phone out, go to your internet or web browser. If you're on the computer, open up Internet Explorer and I want you to type in kahoot.it. And what you should get is a screen that looks like this, and it says game pin. So what we'd like you to do is type in 9349 into that little game pin.
That number's in here.
Yes. And then once you've done it, it'll ask you to put in your name, and that's why we've got a couple of people already that are up there. Yeah. So we've got 5. Brilliant. How are you guys doing at the back? Great. So I'll give you another 20 seconds or so, and if you're not on there, we'll have to just start, and you can kind of run around and see who's using it. Kahoot.it you need to type in. No, so if you're one of those names already, then that's great. We're just waiting for everyone to log in.
Right, so I'll just put in what I want.
Yeah, what you want. So what your name is. Right, so you've got 12 people. 10 more seconds. Oh, 13. Brilliant. 14. 15. Great. Okay, so we're going to have to start now. Right. So, if you haven't managed to get on, don't worry. Just have a look and see what goes on. Right. So, this is what you'll see with your quiz. So, are you ready? It's loading up. So, question 1, 1,000 points. What is Kahoot? So, it's a worldwide game-based blended learning platform, fun classroom engagement tool, audience response system, or a place to share thought-provoking questions. Go. You'll have a colour on your handset. Pick one.
Is the music part of it?
It is, yes. You can turn it off.
We hear that downward plays it downward.
Right, go, right. So 5 people got right. Oh, so everything. Apparently. But if you had wrong answers, then it would tell you, oh, a couple of people have got it wrong. So you might need to go back and do some review. Okay? So next one. Right. Oh, look, even shows you scores. So how can I join the Kahoot community? Go to kahoot.com, Skype interview, follow a few simple and quick steps, get a free account. Which one? There might be more than one right answer. And the faster you do it, the more points you get. Ah, okay, so not Skype interview. Cool, no one picked that, brilliant. Right, so we've got scores. Gemma. Right, we'll do one more. Right. How do I create my first Kahoot? Choose a type of Kahoot. Get inspiration from public Kahoots with butter and sugar. Find a good title. Go. Right. Okay, so it's not with butter and sugar. Oh, just put down the bloody there. Right. So that quiz has got 10 questions, but we're only going to do the first 3. So we're going to. Sorry. You'll have to try it yourself later. Right, okay. So we're going to end the quiz. Oh, look, Steph, So this bit here is the bit that you might find useful. At the end, you've got something that says feedback and results. So what you can do as a student is you can say, oh, well, that was rubbish, I didn't do very well at that, or yeah, I really enjoyed that, that was great. And then as a tutor, you can see, okay, how many people think what. So I'll give you a few seconds to do that if you want to.
Working hard. Your experience.
And the way that it's set up, once you've logged in, you press a quiz, type in your questions, type in the answers that you want, and it's very, very simple. It kind of takes you through the progression. So it's quite a good one for both to start with. Right, so final results. What do people think? Okay, so that's what people got on their scoreboard. Brilliant. Ratings, fine. So that's how many people thought. Yeah, 4.1, fine. Great. Cool. Okay. So we'll move on to the next one now. And some of you may have seen this one already because I harp on about it all the time. But you may have students in your class that are very good at answering questions. When it comes to writing something down, where has that gone? It's not always brilliant. Maybe the spelling isn't brilliant. Maybe they can't quite eloquently put in writing what they can say to you in words. So on an Apple device, if a student's got an iPhone, one of these, what they can do is they can download the free Dragon app, and they can talk into their phone and it will write down what they say. Now the most important thing about the 3 apps that I'm going to show you is that all of them need Wi-Fi in order to work. So you have to sign into Wi-Fi first in order for them to work. But hopefully my Wi-Fi is still on. Once I have got Dragon downloaded, so this green one at the top, and it'll show you what it looks like on the screen. So what I can do, first time you download it, you have to tell Dragon what country you're in because it'll do more than one type of language. I think there's 5 languages that are installed within there. The reason it needs to be connected to Wi-Fi is that when you speak into it, it goes up to the cloud, it gets analysed, and then it gets sent back down to your phone again. So it's not the sort of thing that you could use in an exam, but it's the sort of thing that students could use maybe for questions outside of the classroom, to do bits of their homework, to do bits of assignments. So what I'm going to do is create a new note with a little plus button, and what you get is this screen here that tells you to tap and dictate. So the microphones on these are at the bottom, so if you've got a student that likes to talk into their phone, actually the best way of doing it is like a pizza. There's some microphones in there. So I am using Dragon to try and get it to write down what I say, full stop. We'll see if it works. Sometimes it's quite good, sometimes it isn't. Full stop. When you've finished, you press the screen again, and what it's done is it's written something down. Now, it may not always be completely accurate, but what you can do is you can tap something that it's got wrong, and you can go back in and change it with a keyboard. So we'll give some of you a chance to use this a bit later, but it's quite useful, possibly even for doing feedback for students. So it's written down quite well, what I said. Cool. So, yes. This app only works on Apple devices. However, what Android have just done is they've now built this into one of their apps on this device. Now this is quite new, so it's a really useful one that possibly even study support might not know about yet. So, Evernote, if anyone's heard of that before, if anyone uses it, is a note-taking app. So you can do checklists, you can take pictures, you can store it all in a notebook, but it's like an electronic notebook. What you can do now, within Notes, is do a voice transcription. There's a little button, and it looks like a page with a speech mark next to it. So what I'm going to do is show you how that one works. And it works slightly differently because it updates itself every 10 seconds or so, and it beeps at you. So, this is my new note. I can type if I wanted to. What I'm going to try and do is do the voice transcription with my little button. at the top. So, I am using Evernote to try and write down something that I say, full stop. We'll see what happens. Every time it beeps, it writes something down. And it's trying to type what I say. It's relatively accurate, and I was quite impressed when I used it the other day. Pretty good? No, not this one. Dragon for iPhones and Evernote for Android.
Which is better?
I think
Sometimes
they're
just to clarify, Android phones are HTC, or basically anything that's not an iPhone or a Nokia. So.
Samsung, HTC, can't remember any other ones. Some of them might be Windows phones. Actually, if you have got a Windows phone, I haven't mentioned it up here, but there's something called Cortana, which is it any good or not?
Yeah, it's alright.
Alright. I think it's a bit like an alternative to Siri, basically.
Yeah.
So, the other thing that I was going to mention is something called EasyBib, and it actually addresses something that Diane brought up earlier about referencing. Now, some students find it quite difficult to reference, and partly it might sometimes just be sequences. They might not know what order to put things in each time, and they might not know which bits to format in what way. So there is an app that you can use, it's called EasyBib. It's available on Android and Apple, and it's also a website as well, so you can use it whichever way you want to. And the good thing about this is that if you gather some books together, what you can do is you can tap on the EasyBib app, looks a bit like this, and there's a function at the top that says scan. Now I'm not going to be able to show you this very well, but you can have a bit of a play with it in a bit. So what that does is it connects up to your camera on your iPad or your iPhone or your whatever it is that you're using, and what you can do is you can hover over the barcode of a book, and if you've got a QR scanner installed, you don't need it for iPad, but you do need it for an Android if you're using it on that. What it'll do is it will go up to the cloud and it'll analyse what book that was and it'll give you a reference. So straight away up at the top of my list, I've got, or should have, Catch 22. And what it's done is it's taken the author for me, it's taken the city, it's taken the date, put it all in the right order. You have got 3 different referencing styles that you can use within there. So you've got one called MLA, one called APA, which is the closest to Harvard. So that's what a lot of people will be using unless they're doing English or psychology or things like that. And what they can do once they've used this app is they can email the list of all of the books that they've used to themselves, and they can copy that into their final document. So we'll give you a chance to play with that if you want to later. And if anyone wants to come back for more training, then just ask me about it. So,
okay, so the one I'm looking at is slightly different, and how it came about, I've only actually discovered it quite recently. And in our department, we sort of find that often we kind of struggle to keep track of all our students because some of them are quite good at not looking at their emails, especially when they know there's something they're supposed to see in there, such as homework. So basically, and also as well, we've got sort of ProMonitor, so we can text our students from ProMonitor. The problem with that is that they can't actually reply, so we don't really know if they've received our message or not. And also, again, with ProMonitor, there can be a bit of a time delay on it. So my students, I've sent a text out and said, oh, did you not get my message? And they said, yeah, but it was 2 days later it was sent. So with this app, Remind, like it says, you can create an account and it takes about a minute. You can download the app, or you could go onto the website, which is just remind.com, and they both look quite similar. And what you do is you just sign up to it, and it basically creates you it's almost gives you sort of a barrier between your phone number and the students. So you can use your phone to effectively send them texts, but it just comes up in this app with sort of just your name. So there's no sort of worries about safeguarding or exchanging numbers, and they're not going to be able to harass you. And at 5 o'clock, you can just switch off your notifications for it, and you can't be bothered by them. So what you do is you set up a group, and you give the group a code or a name, and I'll show you in a minute what mine looks like. You give this code to the students, ask them to download the app, type in that code, and they'll all be in this group. So they can message you, you can message them, either as a group or as individuals. The other thing this app has is that it has a function where you can also share it with parents. Now, you wouldn't necessarily want to give all the parents of all the students the code so they can message you, because then you'll probably be stuck on it for quite a lot of your day. But for students who you need regular contact with parents, who sort of getting to the phone in the office or something isn't always ideal, and you need to send them a message, for example, Jenny was 10 minutes late today again or something like that, it's sort of quite easy to sort of pick up your phone and just do that quickly. And as well as this, it's a good, like it says, it's a good reminder tool for your students. So if, for example, you've set them a flip activity and it's kind of really, they really need to do it for your lesson, you can send them a reminder a couple of days before and say, if you haven't already, please make sure you watch this video. You know, if you've had a room change, for example, this is what we had the other day, this is how I came about finding it, so we were discussing how do you communicate with the students quickly and effectively, 5 minutes for a lesson, that actually you can't use the room we plan to be in, we've got to be here instead. This app would allow you to do that very quickly. The student would get a notification, similar to how they get text notifications, which is something we find they'd respond to a lot quicker than if you sent an email, because they sort of find this a bit easier to ignore. So I'll show you quickly the website looks like, and what my account is at the moment. Yeah.
Do you have to download something to use this?
Not necessarily, no. So you can either, I mean, I have it as an app on my phone, but you can also go onto a computer and sign in. So if a student doesn't have a smartphone, they can use the computer at college to have a look, see if they've got any messages. And same with sort of teachers who don't have smartphones, they can sort of use a computer to just log in and check as well.
So the recipient doesn't have to download. The recipient doesn't have to download anything. They would receive it like an ordinary text.
All you could do is write, so they wouldn't receive it to their phone unless they had the app. They wouldn't receive it to their phone like a text. The app's free for them to download and it's quite easy to find. But if you said to the students, this is how I'm going to be communicating with you now, they'd have a login on the computer, so they just sign up on the computer rather than on an app.
They can choose to get notifications via email or via text as well, if they want to.
Right, so if you want to, like, say, contact a parent, they don't have to actually have this.
You can explain to them about it. You'd have to explain to a parent, I might say, or you can send out letters, for example, to particular parents and say, if you download this saying, I'm having trouble getting hold of you, would it be easy to contact via Messenger or via my Messenger? And then you can sort of explain that to a parent. Either if you have them in for a meeting or something like that. I mean, that's the way we envision it, but we haven't trialled it out.
So they would need to download something to receive the messages then?
No, again, you can just log into it. Like, same with Facebook, you don't have to download Facebook onto your phone to receive your messages. You can just log on a computer and open up Facebook and have a look at your messages. But that would just be on the computer. If you wanted to receive them to your handheld device, you would need to download you'd either need to download the app or you could open it in the browser as a website.
So the recipient would know that they've got to do that. That's where I was getting at.
Yeah. So, So, I mean, either way. Obviously, the app thing, you get push notifications, so that's like when your phone beeps to say you've got a message. So the advantage of them having the app is that their phone will beep and they tend to look at it every time it beeps. So that's pretty much the advantage of the app. But again, if they don't have access to that, which not everybody does, you can use a computer. And it's the same sort of layout. So when you've got the website, which is remind.com, if any of you want to look at it, you've got an option of teacher sign up or I'm a student or parent. I've already got my login. The sign up is pretty straightforward. It's similar to Kahoot. You put your name in, you put an email address in, and pretty much just go, and then you can set up your groups. So I'll show you what it looks like. So this layout is a bit more complicated than what it is on the phone. I can show you my phone and what the app looks like if anyone's interested. So I've just made up a group and I've called it English Group A. And the code for this one, which you have to make up individually, is IGCSE-1. So if I wanted to share this with my students, I'd ask them in a class, I'd get them to sign up either on the website or say if you download the app, which they all quite sort of like doing anyway if you give them the opportunity. You give them this code, so they sign in as a student, type in that code, and then they'll start to appear on your list of students. And then you can either send them a message as a group, send them a message as individuals, and they can also reply. So effectively all it is a messaging system, but it's one that like in our department, that we feel that students would respond to a lot quicker because they've already said, you know, if you could text me that, I'd pick it up, I'd look at it. Whereas emails, some of them have them synced to their phones, but just don't look at them. And I think that's partly because emails are a longer process.
Do you find that all your students have these devices that have phones that have the technology to do this?
Not 100%.
Would you be missing students out who don't have these?
Potentially you could be, but the good thing about Remind is that they can use it on a computer. So, I mean, as it stands, we're finding more and more of our students every year, the percentage of those with smartphones is bigger and it grows. And I mean, like you were saying, we were talking about the staffing, well, how did it work? Because one of our members of staff does have a smartphone and the other one in her team does. I was saying, well, it doesn't need every teacher in the group to have a smartphone because actually you can pass messages between each other quite easily. And also, again, if the one without a smartphone wanted to look at her messages, she could just log on to her computer and see them. But it's just another way that we felt that we could communicate effectively and quickly and immediately with students in a way that they would respond to, they would engage with, and that isn't particularly complicated to use. And it also, as well, if you were to develop it and use it with parents, we always find having to run to the staff room and make a phone call, not necessarily get through, and then ring again and they say, oh, it's easier if you call my work phone or I'm at work, something like that. If parents were happy to receive messages and they just, it's a good way of communicating, then it might be something you could work on that as well.
So can I just ask, really that this is very similar to using pro-monitor therapy?
Yeah.
For sending your text, but you've got those sort of added advantages that you can include parents.
You can include parents, and also they can respond.
Yeah.
So the students can actually reply to you. So, for example, if you don't have a full-time administrator or something like that in your department, and sort of I don't know if you have a system, we have a system where students text in to say if they're going to be late. If they can message you they don't always do that because they say they've run out of credit. They don't need credit to use this, and if you know that the student has an app or something, you can say, you can message me. So this again runs off of, it needs Wi-Fi or 4G, 3G to work as well, or a computer connection. But again, I've found personally with my students, the way that they're communicating with each other at the moment, they use text, they use WhatsApp, they use Snapchat. I don't know any students who email each other to ask, did you get the homework from last lesson, or what were we supposed to do for this? So yeah, it's just an idea of it's a different way of communicating with them, and hopefully one that they might respond to.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so we've got some time now. If you'd like to practice with anything, this is a bit of kind of free section of the session. So, is there anything that anyone is particularly interested already that they want to actually have a go with? Kahoot. Okay, so if you want to have a go with Kahoot, then grab a computer, log in, and see if you can set up your own kind of mini quiz. Maybe add 2 or 3 questions and see what happens. If anyone wants to look at any of the referencing apps, anything like that, then we've got a few books here. You can use this iPad if you wanted to, although what I will tell you is that it's got a big crack at the top, so it's up to your health and safety if you do want to go. And then I've got my phone as well if anyone wanted to try the Android app. But obviously if you've got phones yourself, then we can help you download things or all the rest of it.
And if you want any advice on things that might help you specifically in your subject area, then ask.
Yeah. If we could wrap it up there then, because I know some of you have got to go off to lunch and eat potatoes and everything. It looks like a lot of you like Kahoot, which is really good. Yeah, quizzes, interactive quizzes. Students have got a reason to get their phone out, and then you know who's got their phone, so you can take it off the computer too at that point, after they've used it. But Padlet can be a really useful way of collecting what people think. So could be used as a revision thing, could be used to actually put all of your information for your course on there. Could be what the students think about a particular topic, get them to discuss something, and then you can print it out, you can share it with them, you can do all sorts of things. If you have got time before you leave, and you are next to a computer or you've got your phone out still, there are some useful e-learning websites that I've actually got on this presentation as well. So this PowerPoint is available on my Moodle site. So if you sign into Moodle and you type in the search courses button, if you type in assistive, and spell it right, technology, what you'll find is my Moodle site. And it's not very good because I don't have a lot of time to upload stuff on there, but You can enroll, anyone can enroll, there's no code or anything on there. So you click enroll me, and then what you've got is some useful guides for accessibility. There's some about how to change the page colour in Word, there's some about how to make screen sizes bigger, but up at the top, in the first section, there's something called handheld devices session, and that's the PowerPoint for this one. So there's all of the websites that we've used today, all of the apps that we've used today, and some extra ones that tell you a bit more about devices that you could use in the classroom. And then last thing, if you have got a chance, staff development would like you to evaluate this session. So if I open up the link, then it's a Google form, and I think there's 4 questions in there that they'd like you to answer. So it's this one up here. So it's quite small. So if you could type in this lovely web address, what you'll get is a Google form, and it'll have 4 different questions that you can answer.